he must be the very, very coldest creature in this town. He's been there
for 7 days and nights,
and now his leave is through.
And still she won't say,
I do. Ice cold Katie, won't you marry the soldier? Ice cold Katie, won't you do it today?
Ice cold Katie, won't you marry the soldier? Soon he'll march away. Yeah!
Ooh! Just hold on and suck in.
For her memorable role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind, Hattie McDaniel became the first African-American to win an Oscar.
Was a real milestone in the Academy's history and in film history.
But it also created controversy.
She played this maid in Gone with the Wind as Mammy. She was so much more.
she was given an Oscar for a role which really demeaned people of Africa.
Oh, it's you. I told you on the phone she won't go with you.
Now, Hilda, I just want to talk to her.
She don't want to talk to you. She even made me stop buying your paper. And besides, someone's come to take her to the charity ball.
I'll force my way in.
If you do, she told me to throw a pitcher of water plumb in your face.
I'll risk it.
It was orders, but I used distilled water.
How Hattie McDaniel made her mark in Hollywood.
She was making an income that was unheard of for that time, to be a woman and to be black, and was just not willing to lay down. She kept going and kept pushing forward.
I'll see you later, Lieutenant. No, you ain't. You can't show your bosom for 3 o'clock. I'm going to speak to your ma about you.
With her commanding performance in the sprawling Civil War tale of Southern life, Hattie McDaniel made Oscar history.
Keep the shawl on your shoulder.
But Hattie's journey to stardom and critical acclaim was a long one. Her father, Henry McDaniel, was born a slave and fought for the Union Army. Growing up, Hattie often performed with her brothers and sisters in minstrel shows. Following in her brother Sam's footsteps, she moved west to join him and her sister Etta in Hollywood in 1931.
So the three of them were really very much in Hollywood, and we used to rehearse lines together.
After years as an extra, Hattie began to get better parts, like this one in Alice Adams with a young Katharine Hepburn. But her role in the 1934 film Judge Priest gave her a chance to show off the song and dance skills she had learned as a child.
Tomorrow he's got to be like Mr. Sampson, saving Daniel from the lion's den.
Performing alongside one of the most popular entertainers of the day, Will Rogers, the part of Aunt Dilsey helped raise her profile, won her praise, and led to other parts, like the role in Lost in the Stratosphere.
You're funny, Ida. First you accuse me of being in love, and then you try to convince me I'm not.
Oh, you was in love, all right, but not with Lieutenant Wood. You was in love with Lieutenant Cooper, and you knows it.
Later, she played Queenie in Showboat, appearing with the acclaimed singer Paul Robeson. When Gone with the Wind went into movie production, other actresses lined up to try out as Mammy. Legend has it, Hattie edged out the competition by showing up for her audition dressed in costume.
Gala days in Dixie. Streamlined Wings of the Wind bring Hollywood to Atlanta for a history-making world premiere of the motion picture epic Gone with the Wind.
By December of 1939, Gone with the Wind was one of the most anticipated movies of its time. Its flamboyant producer, David O. Selznick, and the city of Atlanta threw a lavish party to celebrate. Thousands lined the streets for a glimpse of the stars.
Glamorous Vivian Lee takes a bow as heroine Scarlett O'Hara.
Though Selznick invited Hattie, segregation laws in Georgia kept her from attending. When Clark Gable threatened to boycott the event on Hattie's behalf, she urged him to attend and help promote the film.
Gone with the Wind writes history, a new chapter in film triumph.
She lived in that parentheses of sanctioned discrimination. It was a dirty time in American history.
Instead, Hattie attended the Hollywood opening. She even felt the sting of discrimination again on Oscar night.
She and I think her date were seated at their own table. They were not with the other nominees from Gone with the Wind or really with anybody else.
It was such an insult to her and her race.
It is with the knowledge that this entire nation will stand and salute the presentation of this plaque that I present the Academy Award for the best performance of an actress in supporting roles during 1939 to Hattie McDaniel.
When she won and she got to go to the front of the room, imagine the significance of that, just the geography of that room and her march to the front.
And I shall always hold it as a beacon for anything that I may be able to do in the future. I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel. And may I say thank you, and God bless you.
There's no question that the fact that she was the first black, not just actor, but any kind of artist to win an Academy Award was a real milestone in the Academy's history and in film history.
Hattie basked in the Oscars' glow, posing for publicity photos and enjoying the headlines in black newspapers like the California Eagle. But even before her award, some in Hollywood had begun to criticize her and other African-American actors for accepting roles demeaning to their race.
Get up a taxi, boy. Come on, Ida.
Nobody was offering black actresses work as judges or scientists at that point in history. She did what she could, and she made an absolutely terrific career out of it. So even though she mostly was relegated to playing maids, she did that with a distinct flair.
Hey, cut them monkey shines.
If you paid attention in the maids that she played, she always ran the household. She was always the voice of reason.
Hattie continued to work, sometimes with her brother Sam, in movies like The Great Lie. Hattie's stock answer to her critics: "I'd rather make $700 a week playing a maid than $7 being one." Off-screen, Hattie lived in style, often dressing in furs and driving around Los Angeles in her green Packard. When she married her third husband, James Lloyd Crawford, she threw the party of the social season. But Hattie was never to have a family of her own. She divorced, married, and divorced again before the decade was over. When she bought a home in historic West Adams, her neighbors sued, claiming black residents violated the community covenant. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court before the angry neighbors lost, and Hattie was saved from eviction.
I have a date tonight.
A date with a boy?
Sure.
Over time, Hattie found work in Hollywood drying up. Times and roles had changed. The Big Wheel was her last movie. In all, she appeared in more than 300 movies, playing a maid in 93 of them.
Edwin! I'd like to hear you do it. Will you?
When there wasn't a movie, she was still okay because this woman was a comedian. She was a singer. She was a dancer. She was still able to carry on when Hollywood said, well, we don't have a script for you.
Some of these days, you're gonna miss me, honey.
In search of a new venue, Hattie reinvented the role of Beulah for CBS Radio, attracting 20 million listeners every week. When that popularity led to a television series, Hattie moved onto the small screen with her usual energy.
Well, that looks pretty good.
Oh, it does, Beulah. It ought to. The prices they're charging, I didn't know whether to cook it or deposit it.
But Hattie filmed only 2 episodes of Beulah before she fell ill with breast cancer. Within a year, she was dead. Thousands attended her funeral as her death made front-page headlines in the Eagle and the Los Angeles Times. On November 1st, 1952, Hattie McDaniel was laid to rest in the Angeles Rosedale Cemetery. Even in death, it seemed she could not escape second-class treatment. In one of her final acts, Hattie McDaniel willed her most valued possession, her Oscar, to Howard University.